I stood in the dark hallway, unsure of where I was or how I had gotten there. Old fluorescent lights flickered weakly on the ceiling, and the whole place smelled of mildew and neglect. What was this place? Why did I come here? This place exuded power, but not the kind you'd hope for. It was a suppressing power, one that made you feel like you couldn't help but obey. Power that was suffocating and murderous. Something in this place demanded respect and authority. And I had a sick feeling in my stomach that it was coming after me. I could hear running feet, and I became increasingly aware of the fear clawing in my chest. I had to run. But where? I was at a dead end, with the only exit being back the way I must have come. And so I stood there, locked in place by uncertainty. The steps were fast, hurried. As though whoever made them was running. Suddenly, a form crashed through a nearby door, zipping towards me. I braced myself for an attack, but they ran right past me. As though I were a ghost. They smashed a button on the wall and quickly entered an elevator I hadn't noticed before that I could hear muttering, but the words were unclear. As I was recovering from this scare, another form, I could see now it was a young man, also darted past me and into the elevator. They were arguing, but what about? That feeling of fear in my chest turned to terror as I heard a third set of steps echo through the hallway. These steps sounded confident and almost cocky. As though they knew exactly what was coming and felt no fear. As I gazed at the door where the previous two men had come from, there emerged another figure. This one was dressed from head to toe in black. And when I say head to toe, I mean it. Everything from their hair to their feet was sheathed in a black leather bodysuit. Even their face was covered. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, but I was more worried about the 3-inch claws protruding from the tips of their fingers. They paused just inside the door, and they scanned the hallway slowly. Were they looking for something? Were they looking for me? The figure turned on its heel and began strolling my way. I prayed, and I don't pray, that they would pass me by like the other two. I was tempted to shut my eyes, but something about the person exuded authority, like you had to put attention to them. Luckily, my prayers were answered. They walked right past me and into the elevator to join the others. I let out the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Now to wait for the elevator to move, and I could get out of here. But the elevator didn't move. The doors didn't even close. I could see the bright, white light spilling onto the floor, only broken by 3 shadows. They were talking. At least, the 2 men were. I couldn't hear the third person. Did they have a voice? Could they even breathe in that suit? I snickered at the thought of tiny air holes poked through the leather like a pet shop box. Suddenly, everything fell quiet. Had they hurt me? Damn it all, I shouldn't have laughed. I watched the shadows on the floor, but none of them moved. It was an eternity of silence. My heart thudded against my chest bone, a sound I could swear was audible. I tried to quiet my breath, praying once again to a God I don't believe in. The shadows moved. I watched the doorway with wide eyes, not even blinking. A clawed hand slowly reached into the hallway. It was pointing at me. Slowly, it turned so it was palm up, and it started to beckon me. What came next was a sound that will haunt me until the day I die. Come, you mortal. A voice. But not an earthly voice. It seemed to seep from the walls, vibrating the very foundation of wherever I was. Its sound rattled my bones and sent chills crashing down my spine. Deep and silky, like a country singer's. I wish it was that pleasant to listen to. I had no choice but to obey. My legs pulled me forward even as I fought them to stay still. I came into the light of the elevator and laid my eyes on all 3 of the men that beckoned me to my doom. I couldn't tell you specific details about either of the men flanking the leather-bound figure. Mostly that they were tall with dark hair. That's about it. I was more focused on the figure drawing me in with an unnatural attraction. Was this a demon? A witch? A spirit from another realm? I didn't know. I just knew I had to follow that claw as it motioned me forward. I felt like Aurora being drawn in by the spindle that would inevitably bring about her downfall. I paused at the threshold of the elevator, fighting the urge to follow that finger. I was staring directly at the face of the clawed one. No holes that I could see, but their gaze was searing a tunnel through my face. The voice came again. I said, "Come." Somehow, I managed to shake my head ever so slightly. "No," I squeaked. Damn. That sounded a lot more confident in my head. For a long moment, we stared at each other. Then they lunged. They grabbed me by the front of my shirt with both hands, claws tearing the fabric, and yanked me forcefully into the elevator, bringing me centimeters from their face. "If you disobey again," they growled, "the Alpha will have you." One of the men behind the figure jabbed a button, and the elevator doors slammed shut. Well, fuck.